Today, on Be Something Wonderful, assumptions don't manifest and create reality. Assumptions are reality. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back and good morning here from the studios at Be Something Wonderful. Big video today. I want to talk about this client that it's been a few months now since we first talked. And she said, you know, Tom, I was really short with you when we first had our first sessions together. And it's interesting because I didn't really notice that, right? I wanted to move her to see her power, to know that she was talking about assumptions. She goes, I was saying things to you like, yeah, I know that assumptions harden into fact. And I know that assumptions become reality if I keep imagining, but I've been imagining, I've been affirming, and they're not hardening into reality, right? This was the discussion. And we really unpacked it. I said, well, that's why. Because remember, it's not so much that assumptions create and manifest reality. It's bigger than that. Your assumptions are reality. You're looking as reality. Your experience is reality. So this is what she said. She goes, I was miserable, I was frustrated, and I was lashing out at the manifesting community. Making comments, I guess she was in some groups, going on the YouTube channels, commenting. We've talked about these ideas. But anyway, remember what I said to her when we had first met. I said, your assumptions are your experience. That's your reality. You're not going to see beyond that experience. It's not like, hear this is what we talked about. It's not you looking out at some reality that's out there, because there is no out there, as John Wheeler said, and then having assumptions about it. It's you having assumptions and then experiencing that as your reality, and that's your only reality. Do you see it? That physical reality is your experience of reality. You're not experiencing an objective physical reality out there. Your experience is that physical reality. You're creating it with your assumptions, with what you believe your experience is, and that's your reality. That frustration, that misery, that lashing out was her one and only reality. So it couldn't change as much as she wanted to assume something different, right? This is powerful. We're going to get to this today. That unseen reality, God, infinity, all that is, pure awareness, pure consciousness, can only be experienced. And that experience of that one and only reality is your reality. It's unseen. Do you see it? It can only be experienced. So if your experience is being miserable and lashing out and commenting that things aren't working, that it doesn't work, that this stuff is phony or fake, then that's your experience. That's your one and only reality. And your awareness of reality is determined by your assumptions of yourself, others, in the world. In other words, your self-concept. So she was just identifying, having an experience of someone that was miserable and frustrated and life wasn't working. Life is working for her now. Happy to announce, what a powerful session, right? She's got a great apartment, she's making money, she's dating, she's having fun. You are only ever experiencing your assumptions. In other words, your story of reality, or your story of all that is, your story of all that you are as pure potential. You're perfect. You're never changing. You're absolute pure potential of all identities, all realities. But whatever story you're telling is your experience, and your experience is reality. It's the one and only reality. There's no out there that you're telling a story of. Your story is the out there. Wow. Do you see it? Your assumptions become that out there. So this was some of the stuff that we talked about yesterday, that when we had first met. I know that assumptions harden into facts and become reality. But no matter how much I imagine and assume that, I'm not seeing it. This is where she was really digging in and getting frustrated. But that's why she was waiting for a future event, right? To change her assumptions. You can't see and experience what you assume is not there yet. How could you? So you can't experience it, and experience is the only reality. So you can't see and experience what you assume is not there yet. Your assumptions are your experience, are reality. Assumptions are facts. Assumptions are reality. What you assume, it's not that whether you see them or not, it's whether you assume them or not. And that becomes your experience. Your experience, what you assume to be true of yourself and the world and others, is your reality. There's no reality apart or outside of your experience of reality. So your assumptions are your experience, and that experience is reality. Hopefully we're getting this today, because this was a powerful session yesterday. In assumption, in other words, the law of assumption, as taught by Neville, Goddard, and other teachers, is the inner, unseen action or experience of claiming and occupying your new reality and identity as reality. That must be your reality then. Hear it again. An assumption, as in the law of assumption, is that inner, unseen action or experience of claiming and occupying your new reality and identity as reality. That's the action. It's an inner action. It's an unseen action. That experience then must be your only reality. That's powerful. And remember what an assumption is. In the Merriam-Webster dictionary, and I might have talked about this on a few older videos. The first definition is a taking to or upon oneself. Hear the definition, a taking to or upon oneself. In other words, self-contemplation as all that is, as source. That's the first definition of what an assumption is. It's you contemplating yourself, what's true about yourself, a taking to or upon oneself. The second definition, the act of laying claim to or taking possession of something. Right. So the act of laying claim to or taking possession of something. In other words, what are you taking possession of? What are you claiming? You're claiming, you're occupying, and you're embodying your new identity, your new reality. That's an assumption. That's the only reality. Laying claim to, it's an act or an action. It's an interaction. Hear the wording here. It's an interaction of laying claim to or taking possession of something. That's the action. Claiming, occupying, embodying your new identity and reality by imagining it, by assuming it. The third definition, and assuming, now they're using the word assuming, and assuming that something is true. In other words, an experience of reality. That's what that becomes. That something is true, meaning something is reality, and assuming that something is reality. The assumption that that's reality. And if that's your assumption, that's your experience. And if that's your experience, that's reality. Or the fourth one, a fact or statement taken for granted. Love that one. In other words, it's done. It's already yours. It's reality. It's a fact. You take it for already being granted you, as we talked about in a few previous videos, the idea of Scripture. It's been granted you. This is powerful. That's an assumption. It's not, remember, it goes beyond the mere belief. Beliefs can be shaken. Beliefs introduce doubt. But an assumption is a conviction. It's a truth. It's a fact. It's a self-contemplation. It's an announcement, a claim, an embodiment of reality. It's the only one and only experience of reality. That's powerful. An assumption doesn't create or manifest reality. It is reality. It is the truth. It's an act of faith. It's an action, an act of faith that your unseen exists here and now. Do you see that? That's what act of faith means. That's an act of faith, right? Remember, faith, what Neville says, faith does not give reality to that which is unseen. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. It's that conviction. That's an act of faith, that unseen is my reality right now, and it exists here and now. Oxford talks about assumption, the first definition, a thing that is acceptable as true or as certain to happen without proof. That's what we're talking about. That's faith, an act of faith. That you don't need proof for that unseen reality, that you're the proof. Your assumption is the one and only reality, the one and only proof that it exists and exists here and now. That's powerful. A conviction, the acceptance of the fact Remember in Neville, when he's talking about the feeling of wish fulfilled, he says it's not an emotion. Rather, it's the acceptance of the fact that it is fulfilled. In other words, it's the conviction. He was talking about the feeling of wish fulfilled, quoting that, right? It's not an emotion, but a conviction, an acceptance of the fact that it is fulfilled. That's what that definition here is in Oxford. And the second one, the action, I love that, action of taking on power or responsibility. Again, the action of the power, remember, the action of you declaring yourself the one and only authority and power over your reality. That's what that is. That's powerful. This is brilliant, guys, if you can get this. Remember, you're the proof. That feeling, your conviction, your assumption's the one and only proof. That's why it means without proof. Without proof out there, you don't need it out there because you're the evidence and the proof of reality. That's powerful. Your assumption is the evidence. Neville Goddard says it here. What you see when you look at something depends not so much on what is there as on the assumption you make when you look. And in fact, it depends on it depends on entirely on your assumption as you look, because you're looking as reality, because there is no out there out there. You're looking at reality or experiencing reality as reality, or in other words, as your assumption. Remember, that ultimate reality can only be experienced, right? It can't be seen, it's experienced. You're looking at reality or as your assumptions. And then Neville says it here, what we believe to be real, the real physical world, is actually an assumptive world. Powerful quote from Neville. It's an assumptive world. This means your story, your truth, your assumptions are your experience of reality, and therefore your experience is reality, all of it. Wow. Your experience of reality is reality. You're experiencing reality as reality. You get this. Your assumptions, therefore, experience, your assumptions and experience, therefore, are the only reality. Your assumptions is your experience, and your experience is the only reality, because you can only experience reality. That's powerful. Stop trying to look for proof and evidence that you create and manifest your own reality and assume you are reality. Do you see this? This is what we unpacked yesterday a little bit more from the first time we talked. Assume it, claim it, accept it, announce it, occupy it, be it, in other words. Your assumptions move you instantly to the identity and version of reality that you claim is true of you, yourself, others, and reality. It's beyond belief. It's knowing yourself as the one and only reality. Remember, beliefs leave room for doubt. Beliefs can be shaken by outside conditions and inner changing thoughts and feelings. Inner conditions of changing thoughts and feelings can all shake our belief. But conviction of being can't be shaken. Assumptions can't be shaken. Assumptions are the absolute conviction and certainty of your experience of reality as reality. That's big. It's being I am. Not merely believing, but being. You see the difference, right? It goes a little bit beyond that, right? Of course, Scripture talks about faith and believing. But it's from that I amness, it's from that absolute conviction of being, that awareness of being. That's why Jesus is talking about belief in a whole other level. It's a level that's an absolute conviction or assumption that you are that I am awareness, the one and only reality. That's powerful. Remember, you are I am, that multidimensional being that is all that is, all identities, all realities, and more importantly, all potential. The potential to be anything, because you are all things. So while your experiences of reality are infinite and always changing, who you are as all potential never changes. Your assumptions determine what aspect of all that you are, that pure potential, that you choose to experience in any one moment. Your identity or self-concept is I am, your assumption of yourself. So it's not so much that assumptions harden into facts. It's that assumptions are facts. It's not so much that assumptions become reality. It's that assumptions are reality. They determine your experience of reality as reality. So assumptions don't manifest and create reality, they are reality. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, don't forget, this month, March 30, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Coast Standard Time, we're going to have our third live stream, our third live event of 2024. That's going to be broadcast exclusively on the membership channel. Send your questions and topics that you would like me to talk about during the live stream to info@besomethingwonderful.com. I'll also answer some questions live on the chat. I'll get to some of those questions like I did last time. It's going to be fun. If you're a member, join us. If you're not a member, you join us anyway. There's a link below if you want to check it out. Thank you for being part of our Facebook at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. That's the Be Something Wonderful ambassadors. We also have an organization page at Be Something Wonderful, Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin, TikTok at Be Something Wonderful, and just join us anytime. We also have our website at tomkearin.com or besomethingwonderful.com. You can always find us anywhere at either Be Something Wonderful or at Tom Kearin. Creators, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, this is Tom Kearin here in the studios of Be Something Wonderful in Las Vegas. Until next time, we'll see you soon.